I suppose, yeah, we're talking about technology and professional services accelerator, particularly about adoption.
Mm.
I suppose I'm interested to hear from your perspective, partly about what the main challenges were that you were thinking about, and then also a little bit about why join in a project like this.
Yep, certainly. So I think this project was probably a few years in the making, and I suppose almost influenced by COVID. So it's not often we say that there's anything good that has come from COVID, but I think what it did do was it accelerated professionals' use of technology because they had to. So suddenly, people who, weren't necessarily very interested in tech at work, they were starting to use that in the home life. It was their way of keeping in touch. Any other service and a kind of thing they were using was provided in that way. So we suddenly had a cohort of people who were much more interested and expecting to use tech. And obviously, what happened to our colleagues happened to our clients. So suddenly, clients were coming back to the world of work going, wow, there's a whole load of tech that we could be using and exploring. Um, and almost, I suppose, after that, we got the Gen AI bubble, didn't we? That
Yeah, it sort
kind
of
of,
kicked
yeah,
in halfway through this.
popped onto the scene. So it was almost like a perfect storm. You had a pile of people who'd never used technology before wanting to use technology.
Being forced to do it.
Yep, being forced to do it. And then you had Gen AI where you can go, hey, I've got 4 random ingredients in my fridge. What should I make for dinner? And people were using it in the home life thinking, wow, if it can do that, what can it do at work? So suddenly an awful lot of interest just in technology and kind of emergent technology in particular. And I suppose that got us thinking as a product and innovation team how that was going to impact what we did. So we've had a product and innovation team in various guises, obviously started quite small for about 7 years. And, we always go technology and innovation, it's about the people. The tech is almost the easy part. And we've spent a lot of time, effort, and time on trades and everything, literally going around the offices, doing roadshows, trying to do that hearts and minds conversation, trying to explain to people why, a particular pilot was worthwhile in doing, what it would mean for their client, those kind of things. And it got us thinking with the Gen AI explosion that almost in one fell swoop, all that kind of trust and hearts and minds that we'd won could be eroded. And that's a kind of quite a scary thing to think actually.
Oh yeah,
We were going,
right.
yeah, we were going from a team and a firm where people were willing and keen to use this technology to actually this could really harm how we pilot and roll things out. So I mean, for purely selfish reasons, I've got an interest in kind of trust and did a PhD in organ donation law and wrote a chapter about it.
Right.
And reckon if I swapped out doctor for lawyer, the same would
Oh,
be true. So I
interesting.
think kind of organ donation law, it's trust in a system, isn't it? From kind of whatever laws and procedure you have in regulation. It's trust in individual doctors that they're going to act in your best interests. Nobody's going to declare you dead if you're not and harvest your organs, all of that kind of stuff. So there's so many different levels of trust going on within that I thought if you could swap out doctor for lawyer, I suspect it's the same with a lot of technology. And particularly with generative AI, and there'll be other technology that comes, what we didn't want to do is pilot technology that then eroded all of that trust we'd built up. And again, nobody wants to be the one peddling snake oil, do they? So
No.
we didn't want to be going, hey, here's another piece of shiny tech, people come and give it a go.
Right.
If there wasn't any either longevity or end results to it. So we're always kind of piloting with the idea that doesn't matter if everything works, that's fine. That's the whole point of pilots, but you fail fast and you move on to the next thing and do it that way. And that's why we were particularly interested in trying to see how we could evolve our, I suppose, pilot practices, how we communicated with stakeholders to think a little bit more about that up front.
So then in your project, it sounds more like it was technology agnostic to a degree.
Yeah, so I suppose, I mean, it's framed at the moment around Gen AI because that's the kind of the
Show
current
in town.
emerging tech. Yeah, so we may as well have something to be able to kind of contextualize that with. But yeah, we were keener to explore what are the underlying, I suppose, methodologies and things we can put in place to really try and have trust at the focus. So I think for us, we've always dealt with stakeholders as part of a change management process. So, don't you? You're going to have people who are really keen on something, people who are at the kind of other end of that, and a broad spectrum of everybody in between. And it's almost been dealt with as a kind of a people bit, just in relation to how they deal with change. But with this kind of project, we wanted to look at how we can layer trust within that and how we deal with different, I suppose, stakeholder groups specifically in relation to that as well.
So almost like it was a technology agnostic project hung off Gen AI because it's the show in town at the moment. Is that right? Is that
Yeah,
fair?
so I suppose the Gen AI, it's the current kind of contextual wrapper for all of this. But what we were keen to explore was to get kind of the underlying, I suppose, theoretical and academic knowledge to be able to, whatever is the next emerging piece of tech, be able to apply those principles to whatever area of technology we're looking at.